Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Zoom at 8. My name is Julie Peterson, and I am your host every Tuesday night for Zoom at 8. You know, we've been doing this for over 5 years. I can tell you, over 5 years, it is amazing. And we have changed lots of lives. We've educated and we've made connections over the last 5 years. 3 weeks out of the month, I bring in industry experts, and tonight is going to be a wonderful one. You guys are going to walk away with lots of information, like mind blowing, because we have Scott Friedson in the house and he is super knowledgeable. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say. If you don't have a piece of paper and a pen, it's time to go out and get one. All right. Now, I am a lender with Old Capital. And Old Capital, we've been doing this for 38 years. We've closed 7,000 loans. That is more loans than some lenders. All right. So if you are looking at an opportunity, I'd love to have the opportunity. If you're looking at a deal, I'd love to have the opportunity to provide your debt. So what does that look like? I need your T12, your rent roll, the offering memorandum, and your underwriting. And I'm going to return to you in 48 hours, an indication of, based on those financials and the operator seller not taking their foot off the gas. That's what it looks like to get through due diligence, how much money we're going to provide you. Remember, your lender is your biggest partner. We're going to bring 70 to 80% of the loan dollars. Okay. So happy to help you with that. If you know of a deal and somebody's looking for a lender, put my name in there. All right. Tonight is going to be spectacular. Not only do we get somebody who is super excitable and fun to listen to, but you're going to get smart tonight. Okay. Who do we go to when there's a disaster? And tonight, Insurance Claim Recovery Support LLC, which is led by Scott Friedson, who is a public adjuster and CEO with over 20 years of experience in commercial real estate. He's licensed in multiple states. The firm of public insurance adjusters is dedicated to exclusively representing the interests of commercial and multifamily policyholders, as well as management companies whose real estate assets have suffered from wind, hail, fire, water, vandalism, business interruption, and other storm damages. This is the person that you need to know. He has settled over 200 million claims in commercial property damage insurance claims. And you know what? Scott is the guy to know when you have a disaster. He's still an avid passive real estate investor with interest in over 8,000 apartment units. So he's walking the walk with all of you, and he's got something to share about what do you do in a disaster. So if you guys would be so kind to help me welcome Scott Friedson tonight at Zoom at 8. Scott, how are you?
Wow, Julie, thank you. What an introduction. I just, like, the bar is so high right now, and
And you're
I'm
going
gonna
to
meet
blow
it.
it away.
I'm
You're
gonna
going to
blow it
blow.
away. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. And thanks so much for the invitation and that amazing introduction. I am Scott Friedson. I am the CEO of Insurance Claim Recovery Support. We are licensed public adjusters, licensed in multiple states, as Julie said. And a lot of people don't know what we do or how we do or why you even need us. And and that's fair. Policyholders have a tough job. Investors have a tough job. Insurance brokers have a tough job, and managing assets is tough. And everybody, I just can't even tell you how happy I am with this group that we have assembled here, because as you're all talking and explaining what it is y'all do, cost segregation, property management, syndication, insurance, lending. I mean, my background is I was a apartment broker for years in Houston. By the way, I live in Austin. And over the course of 25 years, I've learned a lot of things on the transactional side. I used to have a loan officer license. I used to have a securities license for private placement 63 offerings. I've worked with a lot of different syndicators. I've trained investors. And one of the things I want to share with everybody is just kind of my background, and then I'm going to tell you what a public adjuster is. Okay. So I used to broker apartment complexes and train investors in Houston for about 10 years. And one of the things that I immediately learned was that really the only person that can really get hammered on a deal is the buyer, right? And so because of that, I represented buyers for a real long time. And during the course of my passion for real estate brokerage and investing, doing turnaround projects and things of that nature, I discovered like really the only person that get really hurt is the buyer. And so I became fanatical about due diligence, and not just the due diligence of the asset, but the underwriting of the deal, like Julie was talking about. Because there's just so many moving parts, right? And the last thing you need is to find out, a week, 2 weeks, the day before closing, oh geez, this just came up, right? I mean, now my earnest money is at risk. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I'm kind of going in and out.
Yeah, no, you're
Okay.
good. You're good.
Okay, good. And so, fast forward a few years, I was invested. We sold at the top of the market in '07. And then Hurricane Ike hit Houston. Y'all remember that? And it was a mess. And at that time, I didn't know what a public adjuster, I didn't know a public adjuster. I just knew what it was, the concept of it. And what I found was so many investors who had life savings, who had friends and family and associates money invested in their deals, were in big trouble, and they were fighting and struggling with their insurance companies. And I'll never forget it. It was this guy out of California, and he's like, he had just closed like 6 months before the storm. He's like, I don't know how to make payroll. I don't know how to pay debt service. I'm like, well, what's going on? He's my insurance company's just they're not paying. I just can't get it done for what they're offering. And I said, well, you need a public adjuster. So I found one, and long story short, I shadowed under a guy who had about 25 years of experience working on the carrier side and as a public adjuster. And I mean, like, it was like instant, like overnight. I had like 50 to 60 million dollars in claims. One of them was like a $40 million loss of a big condo complex. And I'm like, this is insane. So off we go. And now fast forward, here I am 15 years later, and I've owned and operated this company for 15 years. I'm very proud of our track record, which I'll get into. But before I get too deep into the woods, I just want to give everybody a real high, super high level of what is a public adjuster. Does anybody even know what a public adjuster is? Have y'all worked with one before? I'm just kind of curious. Do y'all know what one is? Does anybody know?
Oh, we got a couple hands there, but I think they
Yes,
might be
yes.
shy tonight. They might be shy.
Okay.
So maybe you could
It's
tell
okay.
them.
I try to engage. But
Yeah.
so, so a public adjuster in layman's terms is basically a private insurance adjuster. Okay. We are licensed and bonded by the departments of insurance in respective states. And we solely represent the interests of the insured policyholder. Okay. Under first party claims. So like Julie had mentioned, fire, hail, wind, stuff under your property casualty policies. Okay. And a lot of people think that, well, if I have a disaster, my insurance company's going to take care of me because that's what they do. That's what they advertise on their websites and on TV. And you can't turn on the TV without seeing a commercial about how they're going to be there in your time of need, right? But the reality is this. When you're paying your premium to an insurance company, as we all do, you're an asset. And when you file a claim with your insurance company, you're no longer an asset, you're a liability. And what insurance companies do is they manage liability. They collect premiums, they manage liability. That's it. Okay. Now, insurance companies by law have a duty to assist a policyholder. They have a duty to perform a proper investigation. But the term proper, just like so many terms and conditions in the policy, can be very gray. Okay. It's subjective. Like, what's a good deal? I don't know. A good deal to you might be different to you, right? Everybody's got a different idea of what a good deal is. So the idea of the insurance company coming in and doing everything and paying you what you should be paid when you should be paid is it's a big lie. I mean, if you think about it, if they were to pay everything they were supposed to when they were supposed to, they wouldn't have a job because there'd be 10 other people behind them, 100 other people behind them that will do whatever they're told to do because they need the job, right? So what most policyholders don't understand is that while the insurance company has a duty to perform a proper investigation, the policyholder actually bears the burden of proving their claim. Okay.
Can you
Now,
say that one more time? I think
yeah,
that's real
it
critical.
is, it's key, right? The policyholder bears the burden of proving their claim. Okay. And the analogy I like to make is this is perfect because it's the day after tax, it's April 16th. You wouldn't have the IRS prepare your tax return, right? And go, okay, just pay this or don't pay, whatever. You wouldn't have your insurance company and their representatives adjust your claim. But that's literally what's happening. And I'm going to talk real quickly just about, I kind of have this thing called the stages of the claim, like kind of like how there's the stages of grief. Okay. The first thing, something happens to the property, it's hail or it's fire or something. And some of the hardest, most difficult claims to deal with are like the hail and the wind, because people are afraid to turn in a claim. They're afraid their premium is going to go up. They're afraid they're going to get dropped. We'll touch on that in a second, but I want to make sure we stay with this. But when it's a fire, it's obvious, and so they have this thing what I call the hope stage. They hope that the insurance company is going to come out. They're going to do the right thing. You're going to be made whole. You're going to put your property back together again, and off you're done. But the reality is, what actually happens is that while people are in the hope stage and they're calling and they're emailing and they're like, hey, when are you guys going to come out? And why is this taking so long? Their insurance company is actually documenting that claim pro insurance company through their lens, okay, per their exclusions, per their limitations, per what they feel like can be repaired versus replaced. And I always say, well, just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? Just because you think you can repair it. Well, we don't deal with opinions and, unbiased, unsubstantiated theories. Okay. We're going with facts. We want to know factually. And the problem is that people don't know how to support their claim with facts. They don't know the arguments. They don't know how to tear apart a policy and interpret a policy, or read the insurance code statutes and assert your rights, or manufacturer specifications, or read an engineer report from an insurance company and peel back the layers of the omissions and misrepresentations, or the unsubstantiated opinions, but it looks real official because it's thick and it's got a stamp on it and it's got all these line items and all this stuff. And I mean, it's an engineer. They must know what they're doing. But the thing that people don't know is that an engineer's opinion is just that. It is an opinion. And the liability of an engineer's opinion, unless it's fraud, is absorbed by the insurance company. Okay. So in other words, one of the things I hate about commercial real estate is that it's very litigious in nature. It can be. And even those with property management companies or relying on their property managers, so that they can be tried as, it's called as a tortfeasor. And I'm not an attorney or practicing law. It's my disclaimer. Don't rely on what I'm saying as legal advice, but I know a thing or two, and because I've been around a little bit, right? So there's a thing called a tortfeasor, right? If your property manager makes a representation, because that manager is an extension of your company, they can be held liable because, oh, well, they said I could get the sewer machine when it transferred and conveyed when we sold the property, and now you're not giving it to me, so I'm going after you because your manager said that I could have this. Does that make sense? That actually happened to me. Okay. So I was a partner in the deal, and that's so I digress. But the point is that the insurance company's engineers that they hire, that they pay, okay, they render their opinion, and their opinion is absorbed by the insurance company for any liability. They don't agree with it. Okay. So unless it's fraud, I mean, which is very, well, I shouldn't say it's very rare, because there was a whole deal with what was that big? There was a big hurricane on the West Coast, Sandy, and the FEMA and all this. Anyway, we don't need to go into that, but that's important to know, because the insurance companies rely on expert opinions. Okay. So it's important that you also have an expert opinion. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is that during that hope stage, when you're hoping that the insurance companies would come out and do a proper investigation that's fair and unbiased, they're actually writing up, they're estimating the damages, they're writing, getting engineer reports out there, they're photographing everything while it's fresh, and they're real friendly, and they're going to be like, hey, you know, we're going to take great care of you. But what you need to understand is that that field adjuster has a claims manager, who has a claims examiner, who has a claims supervisor, and has to go up the chain. Okay. And they really don't have the full authority in many cases to actually settle that claim. And by the time the policyholder realizes what just happened, you're like that frog in the pot of water that's been turned on high, only now it's 3 to 6 months later. And you're like, what is this? You just got a stick in the eye, and you're going, there's no way I can get this done. And then you get mad. And so you go from hope to disbelief to shock to anger. And now you want to take some action. And that's all very normal. But what I'm here to tell you is that there's basically two camps. Okay. There's two types of clients that we get. We get the clients, which, by the way, I have to applaud you all for being here, because just like getting a loan, the best time to get the loan is when you don't need the loan, right? Same thing with what we do, which is risk management. The best time to learn and get your learn on about risk management is when you're not in a situation where you got to hurry up and cram to learn risk management. So kudos to all of you, because let's be honest, insurance is boring as hell. Okay. I try to make it entertaining. I try to make you, try to give some good sound bites. And, there's no way I would be, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but there's no way I would be nearly as good as I am at what I do if I did not have an amazing team that works with me, just like everybody else, right? I mean, I work with a board certified commercial insurance attorney. And the reason I work with that attorney is because they do everything they can. They've trained me in such a way that we avoid litigation like the freaking plague. Okay. Which is very uncommon. A lot of public adjusters, they're looking for a reason to get that file off their plate and send it to an attorney or send it to appraisal. We don't operate that way at all. 90% plus or minus of our claims settle without ever escalating. Okay. We hate litigation. It takes a long, long time. And, we all understand the present value of money. So I'd rather work in another month or two to try to compel them to settle and negotiate with them, rather than just kick it off and then wait another year or two for us to get made whole. So let me get back to what I was saying about the two types of policyholders we typically get. It's the ones that are reactive after they've gone through all these stages, and now they've got the stick in the eye, and they're angry. They don't want to go to litigation. They don't want to deal with a lawyer, and they find out about what a public adjuster is. And so they find out about someone like myself. And like most industries, I don't care if it's a lender or a real estate broker or property management or contractor, there's good and bad in all. Okay. And unfortunately, we've all seen bad ones. We've all experienced the bad ones. That's how we know the good ones from the bad ones. But when they come to us and they have this rat's nest of a mess, and the insurance company has grossly underestimated or grossly paid them or delayed their claim, and they show it to us, and we deal with this, and they go, can you help me? And we'll look at it, and we'll tell you yes or no. No pressure. We're not gonna like blow your phone up or anything like that. If it can be done, we're gonna tell you. And we're gonna tell you how. If it can't be done, We're going to tell you. And we're going to tell you why. Okay. Now, just like the policyholder bears the burden of proving the claim, the insurance company bears the burden of proving an exclusion applies. So you have to prove your claim. They have to prove an exclusion applies. What do you think they're doing with every one of their claims? They're trying to prove where an exclusion applies. Even when they extend coverage, they're still doing stuff like they're accelerating the depreciation. Where's my cost segregation guy? You understand what I'm saying? And so they try to use old price lists. They try to depreciate it grossly. They'll say this is pre-existing damage, deferred maintenance. It's people were walking on it, bird poop, fungus. I've heard it all. I'm not even making any of that up. Okay, so they hand us this, and we have to peel back all the layers, all the engineering reports, all the estimating, all the correspondence, all the stuff that happened, and we'll say yeah or no. So let's say yeah, we can help you. Okay, they're at 100,000, you're at 5 million, whatever the case is, or they're at 0 and you're at 7 million, whatever. We've actually turned claims that have been completely denied and gotten multi-million-dollar settlements. Okay, so when we get involved with this, the important thing that policyholders have to understand, everything is time and money. So are you going to save money or are you going to save time by waiting is the big question, right? Because people want to know, when do I bring you in? And I'm going to tell you, and it's going to sound like a sales pitch, but it's really not. The best time to bring this in is at the beginning of the claim process. If it's large and complex, okay? Now, I'm not saying you need a PA for every single file and every single claim, okay? But generally speaking, if it's large or complex, like a lot of the folks that are on this call deal with large properties, it really is the best time to get involved at the beginning of the claim. Or if things just aren't going right, or you're not getting the attention. Another big, if there's a major catastrophic event like a hurricane, okay, these adjusters are flooded with claims. They have more on their plate they could possibly deal with. And so they're just going to do as little as possible to get it off their plate and move on to the next deal. So the other big thing where people that wait until they're in pain to reach out to us is that once a carrier issues a coverage determination, does anybody here like to be wrong? Raise your hand if you like to be wrong, right? No one likes to be wrong. So when we get brought in and we go, hey, you guys did this all wrong. We don't literally say that, but we're, hey, they dig in, okay? And we may move the needle, but they're still going to dig in, okay? And the point I'm trying to make here is that when we get involved after a claim that coverage determination has been made, we have to the clock starts all over, okay? Because now we have to do our investigation. We have to do our pro policyholder investigation. We have to review everything that the carrier put in front of you and represent it as why they made this coverage determination and tear it apart. And it's crazy. Our packages are anywhere from 100 to, we've had files like 1,500 pages, like huge, like binders, okay, like insane. And so when we go through all this and we tear apart their claim package and then we present your claim package and we submit it to them, by statutes in each state, we have to give them reasonable time to review this information, okay? And they're going to come back and they're going to argue this, they're going to argue that. And so this negotiation takes place. But the point I'm making is that there's this time element that's going on in the background that a lot of policyholders are completely unaware of. Okay, so when I say that, like, for example, you typically have 1 year, sometimes it's 2 years to file your claim from the date of loss. Okay, but you have other elements that you're not maybe thinking of, like business interruption. So if you have a fire or you have a major hurricane and you have units that are now down or pipe burst or freeze or whatever, you may have a time element on your business interruption loss that now, because you waited 6 months, 8 months, or it's a year later, and now you want to get us involved, where you may be up against the clock. Plus you have renewals coming up on your insurance policies, because a lot of times there's just 1 year contracts and a policy is a contract. Okay. And you have duties as well. You have a duty to mitigate and preserve your property. You can't let it get worse. Okay. So my advice to you, like, one thing for sure is, if you do have something, don't hesitate. Don't wait for the insurance company's permission. Make sure you're with a reputable contractor, but you need to mitigate and preserve your damages. Okay. You can't let it get worse and go, that's not my problem, because that will give them a great reason to deny your claim. So, Where was I at? We were talking
So,
about what
so let me
happens.
just make sure I understand that last point.
Yeah.
So you're
Mhm.
saying you should start to do the construction on your own?
No,
No.
ma'am.
Okay.
Construction is the rebuild. Mitigation is if you have a hole in your roof. Okay. You got a fire and the fire department poured, 5,000 gallons of water in there.
Mhm.
You can't just let the water sit. Okay. You have to like make measure, cut out that drywall, take out the wet materials that could cause mold. Because guess what else is a big exclusion in your policy?
Mold.
Mold. Okay. Now, when it's a fire or a pipe burst or something like that, there may be certain arguments that we can make to argue that it's ensuing damage because they're going to come back and go, well, mold's not covered. Well, then we have certain arguments that we can assert where it's like, well, if not for the fire, there would be no water. And if not for the water, there'd be no mold. Okay. We've
Mhm.
had fire. We had a church fire last summer where the insurance company literally was 9 days before they came out to visit the property. And mold can grow within 72 hours in the right conditions. Okay, if it's dark and there's no, you guys know because you guys, yeah. So anyway, so my point is that we still give we still have to give the insurance company reasonable time. And you have this time element going on with, it could be business interruption, it could be for code upgrades, it could be for release of recoverable depreciation. All of these are very important factors. They're all big dollars in many cases. And then of course, you could get dropped or non-renewed in the middle. We've had clients where the policy, the carrier said we're not going to renew you, and they have a fire that happened 3 months ago. Okay, well we have strategies and situations like that where we help people and we get either the current carrier to continue to insure the property. It may not always be on the best terms, but anyway, there's more than one way to skin a cat, I guess is what I'm saying. So the other big element that people always ask about is, well, I don't want to pay for a PA right now because I want to wait and see what happens. I want to save that money, right? Well, I can respect that. However, what you need to understand is that, first of all, our fee is tax deductible for business owners. So again, I'm not giving you financial advice, but check with your CPA and tax consultant. But we're a professional service, just like Julie's fee or your broker's fees or your CPA or tax attorney, whatever. We're a professional fee. Okay. So that takes some of the sting out of it for sure. But I can tell you, like, the percentages we increase claims are typically from what, 30%, 30 to 3,800% to infinite if it's been completely reversed. Okay. So I mean, I've never had a client come to me and go, gee, if only for your fee, we would have been made whole. It's usually the opposite. It's like, thank God for you. I have no idea what we would have done if we didn't get you involved. No, the insurance company does not pay your public adjuster. Somebody just asked, great question. They don't, because it would be like, I think we're having a big deal about this real estate commissions right now, right? Where if the insurance company paid my fee, then it could be argued that I'm working for the insurance company, right? And I only work for the policy holder. Now, there are certain arguments in really egregious situations where the insurance company has basically just completely flat out not done their job. Okay, where we can argue that, but it's it's sticky. I don't want to go out here and tell people like we're going to get your insurance company to pay for our fee because it just doesn't happen. Now, if you end up going legal, there could be some other things that change where an attorney will, and within their fee, absorb our fee and kind of and as part of the gross settlement,
Mhm.
it gets added into the bucket. Okay, but you're talking a long time. You're talking subpoenas, depositions, and Texas required mediation, and you got a defense attorney on the other side that's just billing by the hour. So there are no incentive at all to hurry up and get it done, right?
So let's unpack what the cost is. Because if you're saying, hey,
Yeah,
that comes out of your pocket, my pocket, what does that cost? Is there a
yeah,
percentage? How do you determine that?
yeah. Good question. So the fee structure is dictated state by state. Okay, there's a fee cap typically, and sometimes there's not a fee cap. Oklahoma has no fee cap. Okay, in Texas, it's 10% is the maximum you can charge on the settlement. Okay. Now, from my view, that means the settlement means the check amount. And I share that with you because I know there's a lot of public adjusters that charge on the replacement cost value. That means before the deductible and before depreciation. Okay. So if you got $1 million claim with $100,000 deductible and I have a fee of 10%, it should be based on the $900,000 check. You got me? Not on the $1 million check. And I actually asked a defense attorney who's very prominent about this. I asked that question. So the exact scenario, and he said, "Oh, you should get paid 100,000." I go, "No." I'm arguing against myself now. And I'm going, "No." The statute says on the settlement amount. And furthermore, if you're still confused, if it's illegal, which it is, it's illegal for a contractor to waive a deductible, then why would it be legal for a public adjuster to charge on deductible? It makes no sense. So that's how we operate. The question, to answer your question, is the maximum it can be is 10% less the deductible in Texas. On supplemental claims, which is what we're talking about right now, where maybe the carrier's extended some coverage, but it's not enough, is typically 20 to 25% of new money, the lesser of the two. Okay. And the thing that is so important I want to make sure everybody's paying attention here on this, because in 15 years, I can count on one hand how many times the fee was the lesser of the two was the 20%. That's either a testament to how good we are or how bad the insurance companies are. It's somewhere in the middle. Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you is that you're not saving time or money. Okay. And again, this is if it's large, complex, if it's over, say, $200,000, if you've got fire damage, which is something it takes, you need to act quick, you need to have good resources. Hail claims and wind and hurricane and flooding. And I mean, you just don't know what you don't know until you know. Okay. And so,
So I want to back up for just a second, make sure that I understand this. At the beginning, someone would come to you and say, "Hey, here's my situation." There would be no upfront charge to get you to move on that claim. You're going to look at it and
correct.
say, "Oh, let me dig in here. I think we have something." At that point,
Yes.
do you expect some payment, or is it always where you're working on quote unquote contingency,
No, it is
right?
literally on contingency. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
right.
and yeah, I'm seeing some of the PA means public adjuster. Thank you. And no, it's no recovery, no fee. Now, you can pay, I guess in theory, you could pay a public adjuster a flat rate. But I mean,
Why?
if you're
I
any
mean,
good,
yeah.
if you're any good at what you do, like, would you do a flat rate loan? I mean, you know, we're all performance based, right? And
Yeah.
we earn our money. Okay. People are like, "Oh my God, I don't know how you do." We have to have an iron gut to do this business. But so yeah, we work on contingency. There's no upfront fee. I will tell you, full disclosure, if you do need an engineer or any other type of third party,
Mm.
especially engineers, that is another fee that is paid by the policyholder. So if the carrier has an engineer, or we anticipate that they're going to have an engineer, if it's a marginal wind or hail claim, you got to fight fire with fire. Okay. And so we are investing our time and energy. And I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm very protective about my time and energy. Okay. We mentioned earlier on the call, you know, sometimes the best deal is no deal at all. And I say become a raving fan of no. Okay. And we get calls every day. And I'm like, you know, and I'll tell them like this is not a good claim. This is very marginal. It doesn't have any collateral damage, or the weather data doesn't really support this, or whatever the case may be. And we'll explain that to them. If they still want to pursue it, I'll say, "Okay, but I'm going to tell you on a scale of 1 to 10, this is like a 2. Are you sure
Mm.
you still want to do this?" Like, "Yeah, okay." Well, so, and we may still say no. And sometimes we'll just say, we just say no, because I would much rather spend my time helping legitimate policyholders that really do need our help, rather than, you know, someone that's either not going to do the work, or they're not, it's not a legitimate claim or whatever. So
It-
does that answer your question?
yeah, yeah. I want to make sure that you really pinpoint that, we're introducing you to our audience, and obviously through YouTube that everyone is going to be watching this, to engage before, start this relationship, so that when you I make your phone call to you, or anybody in the room makes a phone call, you've already have a connection. You already know what is, what property you own and what, maybe some of the challenges that could be seen, right? So then when you have a disaster, that's when we want to pick up the phone and call you, not after the claim, is what I'm hearing you say. Because that can
Yeah,
also create, have this go a little faster by having you come in early rather
for
than
sure.
extending it after the claim guy comes in and gives you, well, this is how much we're gonna
A
pay
stick in
you.
the eye. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so on that note, and I'm glad you brought that up. On that note, you know, this is something else that y'all need to understand is that insurance companies are required by law to take in consideration anything that a policyholder presents that helps support their position
Mhm.
equal to their own interests. So if we can do that at the time when they first come out, okay, and we can assert that, like they go, well, that's deferred maintenance. Well, no, it's not. Or that's tree damage. Well, there's no tree here. Or whatever the case is, there's a gazillion little for examples that I could come up with. But the point is that at the time that they're documenting that claim, your best bet to get from point A to point B in the shortest amount of time is to have us there at that same time. Okay. Um, I cannot stress that to you enough. And I'll tell you one other thing, and that is you mentioned, this is the best time to get to know us is when you don't have something massive going on. When there is a massive, like a hurricane or the freeze or something like that, I hope y'all can understand and respect that we take care of our clients that we already have pre-existing relationships first. We do not just take on everything and anything that comes through our door because we can't maintain good quality work if we just take in everything and anything that comes in, and we will say no. Like I will tell you, if we cannot take any more than what we're doing right now, I will tell you, we are maxed out. It doesn't happen very often, but because thank God we got great teams and bandwidth, but you know, we do that. And I've seen other people and players in this industry where they get greedy, and we all know what happens when you get greedy. It never works out. So yeah, that's a great question.
So Ellen asked if it helps speed up the return or the the claim by having you coming on board early. And I would say
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely.
And
Yes,
even in a
absolutely.
hurricane where there's FEMA and all of that involvement, would that still,
Especially,
okay.
especially, yes. Because think about this, the adjusters are completely overloaded. Okay, they've got more, and they're bringing in people that don't. A lot of times, these insurance companies bring in anybody that they can. They'll call the part-time crews. We re-enlist these guys. We got to get bodies. Now, there's something else that we do that as public adjusters is we compel the insurance companies to perform. Okay, so in other words, in Texas, if you're a surplus line carrier, you have 20 business days to like start the claims process. Okay, there's all kinds of timelines within the statutes. And it's not uncommon at all for them not to comply with statutes and timeframes.
Mm.
And you have to know the rules of the road. This is not checkers, this is chess. You have to know the rules. And so we will let them know, as you know, per statute 541, da 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 da. You have X number of days to respond, and we submit this on this date, and we need to know what your intentions are on this matter because the policyholder is eager to start repairs, right? Now, there's two schools of thought. Okay, if the speed limit is 55 and you're going 60 miles an hour, are you breaking the law?
Well, if you're going
Yes,
along with,
yeah, you are. You're
yes,
breaking the law. Yeah, you're breaking the law. But should you
I was
get
going along with
arrested?
traffic though.
Right, right. Well, I
It must be
made that same
California.
argument a few weeks ago and I got a ticket. But 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 what I'm getting at is just because they violated the insurance code once, twice, three times, or whatever, we don't go, okay, let's sue. We go, hold on. We know that you know now that we know that you've been bad. And the penalties for this are X, Y, and Z.
Mm.
However, we're reasonable people, right? We're all reasonable people, right?
Yeah,
And we
definitely.
want to get this matter settled without escalating it further. This is part of what we do, right? And so we give them the opportunity, and what I like to call, we give them enough rope to hang themselves. Okay. And we're like, look, kind of like the bad tenant that's always late, or the bad employee that doesn't show up every day on time, but they're pretty good, but you got to like ride them like Zorro to get them to do what they need to do. That's what we do.
You know
And so,
what I keep hearing from you, Scott, is that you really are a pimple on their ass. Okay, on for the insurance companies. All right, that's number one. Secondly, you really are an advocate for the insurance, not company, but the
the
insurance
policyholder,
policy holder. And
yes,
that's what's
ma'am.
most important. Why wouldn't you want to have somebody who will work on your behalf? It's similar to a broker, a lender like myself, is that we're working on behalf of you. We're making sure that everybody is behaving correctly. And I just love that. I think that you made a really good point there. Um, Curious, can you do claims for homeowners, or do you just work within the commercial
Yeah.
real estate?
No, we definitely can, and we do. We're kind of I don't want to say we're picky. We're kind of picky about the houses because we're large loss, multifamily, commercial, public insurance adjuster. It's like, does Old Capital do houses? I mean, probably
No.
can, but just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? Because there's only so
Yeah.
many hours in the day, and where's your expertise? Now, that being said, I mean, I just settled a fire claim today for a house. Because I mean, I live in Austin, so I kind of have this rule where like if they're in Austin, or if it's a large loss, like a multi-million-dollar house or custom home build in another city or something like that, that we can help them, we're happy to do it. Yeah. I mean, so, but am I going to get excited about a $20,000 hail roof claim on an old roof that's got marginal damage? Not really. I mean, no more than you guys are going to get excited about a two-bedroom, one bath, shack in the
Duplex.
hood. Right. Like,
Well,
it's a
okay,
good deal
so
though. It's a good
yeah.
deal.
Well, so I guess my question would be then to say, is there a minimum that you want to be looking at claims? So is it a 20 unit building? Is it $1 million? Is it like what can you kind of give us some guidelines
Yeah,
for?
I mean, pretty much what we're looking at is around 200 to 250,000 as a minimum after your
Okay.
deductible, okay, for damages, which is not hard to get to. I mean, you're talking about
Yeah.
like if you have like a 4 unit apartment fire,
Okay.
that'll rack it up to, 250, 300. By the time you're done with mitigation, demo, rebuild, code upgrades, business interruption, okay, all these things that come into play, that's pretty much it. I mean, so let me just give you a real quick you guys want a for example on a fire claim
Yes,
that we
I
just
do. I
settled?
do want to see a case study, hear a case
Okay,
study.
well, do you
So
want to see it or hear it? I mean, I can probably
no.
show you my screen, but
Yeah.
yeah, I can pull it up.
Yeah.
This was an apartment fire in Houston, and this was I never don't know these guys. I've heard of them. I don't know if I can really I don't know how much I really want to share about the
Yeah.
actual client, but I'll see if I can pull up some photos.
Yeah, we'd like
But
to see
but
that.
the bottom line is it was a massive fire, and these
Mm-hmm.
guys were trying to do it on their own.
Okay.
And actually, I think I have, yeah. Check this out. I'll share my screen. Let me see if I can close that. Oh no, I can't. Darn it. Hmm. Let me see what I can do about. Can I share? I don't know if
Yep.
I can share. Sharing is
Yeah,
caring. Okay, here we
it
go.
is.
Uh, let me see if there's a way. Well, I'll just share this. Can you see my screen?
It's coming. There it is.
Okay, check this out. I'm just gonna push the video.
Okay.
This is a massive fire,
Huh.
and I'm gonna pause it right here because I'm gonna show you something. So this is what it looked like when I got on the scene, and the carrier had offered them something like I want to say $600,000, and I knew the building consultant on this from the carrier. I also knew the adjuster. I knew the insurance. I knew everybody on this deal. Okay, and I sent them an email, and which I hardly have any time to do anymore. And I just sent them a 2 sentence email. I said, "Hey, I saw you had a fire. I don't know if I can help you or not, but if you have any questions or having problems, here's my information." 3 weeks later, I get this phone call. And this guy's like, I'm about to kill my insurance company. I'm like, what's going on? So he tells me, he's like, our estimate is like $2 million. They've given me like $600,000. And I don't know what the hell's going on, but we're getting screwed. And I'm like, okay, well, let's take a look. So he sends me his policy. It's a layered policy, like probably what a lot of you guys have. And I'm looking through this thing and I'm like, well, there's 4 layers, and I see only one layer was triggered because it goes up to like $1 million, right? I'm sorry, it goes up to like 500,000, then 1,500,000, and so on. And I'm like, why wasn't this the second layer triggered? And they're like, I don't know. Well, we fired our insurance agent. We can't talk to them anymore. I can't stand them. And I said, well, I'll call them and see what the deal is. So I call them and I play the Columbo, like, so I'm just trying to understand, like, what's going on with this deal. So sure enough, they sent me the policy. There's 4 layers, and we paper up. There's a whole bunch of problems with this file, and I knew the adjuster, and he's a challenging personality, and so yeah, there you go. So anyway, he's like, oh well, I never got that part of the policy, and I'm
Hmm.
like, you work for the insurance company and you didn't get the full policy. Okay, whatever. Well, here it is. So now we need coverage to trigger through that. Okay, so that was another, I don't know, $150,000. Okay, great. Now, just out of curiosity, how did you come up with the valuation on this? Well, it's based on, you guys have to fill out these numbers on the price per square foot of what you're insuring your property for nowadays. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but that's pretty common now. And they're like, oh, well, it's based on X dollars per square foot. And I'm like, so I tell the policy, he goes, no, 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 we updated those numbers when we bought the policy. And I'm like, do you have a record of that? They go, yeah, well, send it over. They look at me and I'm like, okay, well, hey, Jester, it looks like that prior to this fire, when they bound the policy, it was actually not this dollar amount per square foot, but actually this dollar amount per square foot. Oh, let me go take a look at that then. And so I have to send it to him. I'm proving the claim and send it. He goes, oh yeah, okay, well, so that increased another like $150,000. And then I go, well, which building did you take the square footage from? Oh, it was the biggest building. I said, okay. So we look at the all the records. And I go, well, the largest building is actually like 8,000 square feet larger than the one you used. So now we take the old calculation and we apply it to the right measurement. It comes out to this amount of money, and it was like another $200,000. Oh, by the way, how's your business interruption claim coming along? Oh, did you guys want a business interruption claim filed? Yeah,
Oh,
it's been 6 months. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, so we'll get that going. That was another, I think that one we got another 120,000, 100,000, something like that on that. So then you might notice I put this over here. I'm going to bring this back. So I'm going to show you right here.
we got
Okay.
about another
See
five
this
minutes,
building right
Scott.
here? Yeah.
We got about another 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. We see this building right here?
Yep.
You see that debris on there?
Mhm.
They didn't do anything with that building. Let's go take a look at this building. Well, sure enough, there's embers on this building. So we
Mhm.
got more money, and also on this one over here, which you can't see. But anyway, that's kind of that's they're just please as punch. Um, we increased that claim. I think that one was like 67% increase from what the carrier initially offered. And honestly, I mean, it was several hundreds of thousands of dollars, but percentage wise, I mean, that's pretty average for us.
That is
It's
amazing.
crazy.
I mean,
Yeah.
just crazy. Now, I'm curious, do you guys ever get into a consultation before people take out the insurance plan to make sure that they have the right coverage, or what's your recommendation on that?
We definitely can do that. Here, I'm gonna drop my information
Okay,
real
good.
quick.
Yep.
And then when you said that, that's what reminded me. We don't, I mean, we can, I'm happy to review policies. I mean, if you have a policy now you want us to just take a look at and kind of give you our 2 cents on it. But we do complimentary claim consultations. And
Okay.
I'm happy. We get, I mean, I'm happy to look at any policies if you want us to look at it and just kind of give you a quick look, things that you need to be aware of that could be problematic or whatever. And by the way, I gotta say one other quick thing. I know we gotta wrap things up,
Yeah.
but I want to say a lot of people are very angry with their insurance agents right now.
Mhm.
And and I want you to know that your insurance agent is not the problem. It's the insurance company. It's their patterns and practices. It's, they're going to raise your rates no matter what. A lot of people think, well, I don't want to file a claim because they're going to raise my rate.
Mhm.
When it's a natural disaster, they cannot raise just your rate. What they will do is they will go and they'll say, well, Travis County got hit with $600 million in hail claims. And so now that tier is high risk. So we got to raise the whole tier has to go up. And they never say no. Now, if you are smoking a cigarette on your couch late at night and you drop that cigarette and you burn your house down, you are now a liability. Your rates will go up because you're higher risk. It's just like the person that drives and gets in accidents all the time.
Mhm.
It's not because of the environment that they're in, it's because that person. There's actually stuff by the Texas Department of Insurance that specifically addresses that your carrier can't raise your rates because of a natural disaster. Okay. But you're going to probably get dropped anyway because that's what they do after they file a claim. After they pay a claim, they drop you. I don't know why. Seems like it'd be less likelihood for you to have another hail or wind claim, but that's the rules of the road. That's the way it works.
Fantastic. All right. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, I know you put that into the chat, but there's people here that don't get access to the chat. So
Right.
how can people get a hold of you?
Our website's insuranceclaimrecoverysupport.com. All of our social media is right there. We have a claim help button. You can't miss it. Click there, go to contact us. By the way, when you're looking at vendors, if you have a disaster, your roofer or a restoration company, my advice is make sure you look with somebody, get references, and make sure they have a picture of their face and their name is on the website. I just like if they don't want to be known or seen, that I'm like, no, we don't want to deal with them. But yeah, I see people want to, yeah, we're licensed in Kentucky, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Texas, Colorado, Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, South Carolina, Utah, you name it. It's all on our website, but except for Missouri, because that's a new one. But
That's
yeah,
fantastic. All right. So let's open it up, see if there's anybody in the room that has a question. You've been super thorough on the reasons why somebody would want to use and know a public adjuster. Anybody in the house have a question? Paula? No, Paula's good.
Yeah, I think they just had their sweetheart, Scott. FEMA raised about 6 to 10 homes, 16 feet in a specific neighborhood on the lake. They paid for all of it.
Hmm.
They didn't bat an eye. I mean, they had to be called back for punch list, but other than that, they paid. They didn't pay
FEMA
for
paid
the rest
for
of the
it.
infrastructure. Pardon?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, FEMA paid to raise.
FEMA paid to raise single family residential homes about 6 to 10, 16 feet in
Yeah,
the air. They live on the lake.
wow.
It's a neighborhood of astronauts for the most part. But it was on the water, and they said that if my sister didn't agree to it, that it would keep their insurance rates high, and all the neighbors complained. So that's why they did it.
Interesting. You know what? You know what else is interesting? When you pay your premium, a portion of your premium goes towards claims adjusting.
Hmm.
So they know that they're gonna have to pay out.
No. You are paying that adjuster, and you're paying for that carrier's engineer as a
Yeah.
portion of your claim process, a part of your premiums. So
But they're working
you are
against
work exactly.
Yeah. Crazy.
That'll really cook your noodle.
Wow. All
Any
right.
other
Well,
questions? I've had so
yeah,
much fun. I mean, and I'm going to think of something in the middle of the night, like, oh, I forgot to mention that. But
well,
feel
now
my
listen,
numbers. Yeah.
you get to stay if you want to stay. We break off into breakout sessions. So if you think of something,
Oh,
you can, when we come back, you can say, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you this.
okay. I
So
appreciate
if
that.
that's of
Well, my
interest to
daughter
you.
just got home from gymnastics practice, so I'm going to go get on daddy duty.
Okay.
I love this. I had so much fun. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, or my number is 832-725-2878. You can click on that little link that I dropped in there, and all my contact information's there. But if you have questions or anything, call Juliet. She knows how to get a hold of me. And I
Yeah.
really love this. I had so much fun, and I'm happy to come back anytime.
Well, it's been super helpful for everybody here. So thank you so much. And we do appreciate your time. So we'll be
Thank
in
you.
touch. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.